Hello UFC, long-time fan here. I've been watching the sport for a very, very long time, and I've been watching your promotion for a very, very long time, and in my opinion, the UFC is the best fight promotion on earth by far, and I don't think there's even a close second. I am a huge UFC fan. I have watched every event for as long as I can remember, and I stay up until the early hours of the morning, UK time, to watch the early prelim opener, all the way through till the main event, and I just can't sit back and allow this problem to get worse and worse and worse every single weekend, because I'm starting to notice that there is nothing being done about this problem whatsoever, and this weekend's card is kind of the big end for me where I can take this any longer. I cannot sit back and allow this to happen to what is considered the best fight promotion on earth, the UFC. Every single interview I watch from Dana White talks about how 2021 is the best year ever for the UFC. But I am noticing every single weekend that your fight night cards are absolutely shit and unacceptable, and this weekend's fight night card is just slapping me in my fucking face. I have taken it for long enough. Every single weekend I am getting mediocre fight night cards, and this weekend's card is just, it shouldn't even exist. I would rather you wipe this from history. I don't want this card to even take place in some parts of my mind. And I'll just say this out loud. I'm going to be watching maybe Bellator this weekend over you. And I have not said that for a very, very long time. I just can't take it anymore. And I know there's some people out there that are going to say, dude, you're a casual. How do you not appreciate this weekend's card? I'm not trying to hear it from you guys. I have stayed up every single weekend. On document for at least the past 3 years. It's been longer than that, but at least for the last 3 years, I have stayed up every single weekend, and you can go and check this on my channel right now. I have done a live fight companion, early prelim opener, till the main event of every single fight card, every single weekend, for the last 3 years at least. I am as hardcore of a fan as you can get, so I don't want anyone out there calling me a casual for speaking up and saying this, but I know when something needs to be said, and I'm gonna say it. You need to fix up your fucking fight night cards. I can't take it anymore, and I know after Sandhagen versus Dillashaw, this might not be the best time to mention this, because Sandhagen versus Dillashaw is a good main event of a fight night, but guess what? Every main event of a fight night used to be good, and now they're absolutely terrible, and it's happening too often. Now, I do understand there are some problems right now with the Rona situation, but in 2020, it seemed to be okay. The fight night cards were pretty decent, but now they're getting worse and worse, and I just don't seem to understand it, because it's not even because fights are falling off of these cards. In some cases, that is the reason why some of these cards are so bad. But with the card this weekend, Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland, that I'm going to stay up until the early hours of the morning UK time to watch the main event for, this card was destined to fail. And you had 8 weeks ago, I looked at this card, and it was nearly exactly the same, except it had Doo Ho Choi versus Danny Chavez as the co-main event. Doo Ho Choi fell out of the card. I understand. You have had 8 weeks to try and fix this card in whatever way you can, and the best you've got is to lie about Chris Daukaus's cornerman getting the Rona syndrome so you can move him over to this event. And even then, Shamil Abdurakhimov has pulled out of the fight, and now there's not even a good co-main event. And even with the co-main event of Shamil Abdurakhimov versus Chris Daukaus, this would be an unacceptable fight night card. And I feel like MMA fans right now are kind of getting a little bit desensitized to this, because there's so many bad fight night cards that you don't really notice when they're bad anymore. You know what I mean? And it makes the decently okay ones seem amazing to us. Sandhagen versus Dillashaw happened last weekend, or just a couple of days ago even. It was a good main event, and it is considered a good card by a lot of people, but when you really look at things, there was barely any great fights on that card. There were some talented prospects, don't get me wrong. There were some good fights on the card, but in terms of high-ranked contenders, they used to be all over fight nights. And now they are not. And Sandhagen versus Dillashaw is actually an outlier this year as a great fight night card. I don't know if I can take it anymore, man. It just seems to be getting no better every single weekend. So let's talk about Hall versus Strickland, man. This might be the worst fight night card I've ever seen in my life. I know some people are out there saying, dude, you don't care about Kang Hyun Ko versus Rani Yaya as a co-main event? What are you, some kind of casual? Yes, I am, I guess, because I genuinely don't give a fuck about it as a co-main event. I want a ranked fight in the main event. I want a ranked fight in the co-main event, and I want a ranked fight opening up the main card. Is that so much to ask for? There are so many fighters on the roster, and I understand this is also a problem. Justin Gaethje has been out for an entire year, but then will still have the audacity to complain about fighter pay. He hasn't even showed up for work for an entire fucking year. I understand that some fighters right now, in this year more than any other year previously, are the most bitchy, cucky, losery, pathetic savages we've ever seen in the sport. I understand it's more about now the sport of MMA rather than fighters going out there like savages and putting on a show for everyone constantly, multiple times a year. It's all about negotiations now. It's about trying to find your way out of certain matchups and not against guys that are bad matchups for you, and trying to find the easiest way possible to get to a title shot, and sitting out 6 months if it means just sitting out 6 months so another matchup can come your way and maybe then you can get a better chance at getting towards the title in a shorter time. I understand, but let me just read you this weekend's card. It's not even about the cards, it's about who's on them. Uriah Hall, Sean Strickland. Not the best main event, but I'll take it this year. I'll take it this year, man. We had Michelle Waterson, Marina Rodriguez. I'll take it this year. The rest of these cards are terrible. Kang Hyun Ko versus Rani Yaya as a co-main event of a fight night is just not acceptable. It isn't. And Cheyenne Byers versus Gloria DePaula is not acceptable as a feature fight of a fight night card. They are both coming off of losses in their UFC debuts. Gloria DePaula is 5-3. She does not deserve to be in the UFC in general, let alone in the feature fight of a fight night card. Nicolas Stolze, Munir Lazez. Actually not that bad when you compare it to the rest of the card, but Ryan Benoit versus Zaruk Adashev on the main card of a fight night as I'm looking at it right now. Ryan Benoit is 10-7. Zaruk Adashev is 3-3. He is on the main card of a fight night card. UFC Ultimate Fighting Championships. The best fight promotion in the world with the best talent, right? Why is Ryan Benoit and Zaruk Adashev in the UFC in general, and why are they on the main card of your fight night card? If anything, if you want to keep them on, put them as the early prelim opener. I don't understand this. Brian Barberina, Jason Witt, veterans, okay, but why are they anywhere near a fight night main card? I don't understand. You go to the prelims. 5-3 Nico Montano versus Yanan Wu. Colin Anglin, Melsik Bad surname. Chris surname versus Hava Garcia. Like, these fights on these cards. Kai Kamaka 8-4. Women's strawweight division below that. I'm gonna be sick. Jin Yu Frey 10-6. What the fuck? This is the UFC. Her opponent, 8-7, Ashley Yoder. 8-7. I feel like records are getting worse, and not only that, the cards in general, the layouts of these cards make no sense whatsoever. I just read you Yin Yin Frey, 10-6 versus Ashley Yoder, 8-7, and Ryan Benoit, 10-7 versus Zaruk Adashev, 3-3. They are both higher up the card than the matchups, which are Ronnie Lawrence, 7-1 versus Trevin Jones, 13-6, who's actually doing quite good at this point in his career and has some momentum in the UFC. He is second on the card, while Zaruk fucking Adashev hogs a fucking main card spot. How is that in any way allowed? I go before that. Philip Rose, 7-3. Had a loss recently, but is actually an okay fighter. Orion Koshki, 7-0, undefeated prospect. On the come up, a lot of hype around him. He's the opener of the early prelims here. Gloria DePaula, 5-3, is on the main card in the fucking feature fight versus Cheyenne Bays, 5-2. This card is unacceptable. You had 8 weeks to figure this out, and I'm telling you this, it's not just this card. You can go through every card. Sandhagen versus Dillashaw. Co-main event. Kyler Phillips versus Howlian fucking Paver. I understand it was a short notice replacement, but still, even then, if it was Kyler Phillips versus another bantamweight, that would not be a good co-main event. Darren Elkins, Derek Minner. Feature fight of a fight night card at this point in their careers. You go before that, Makhachev versus Moises. Co-main event, Marion Renault, 9-8 in a co-main event of a fight night card. I don't know how much longer I can take this for, man. These cards are dog shit. Gane versus Volkov, the fight night card before that, co-main event. Tanner Boser versus Ovin St. Preux. Not even ranked contenders in the co-main event. You go before that. Jung versus Ige. Co-main event, Alexei Olenek, Sergey Spivak. Spivak is ranked now. Neither of these guys were ranked when this was made the co-main event. Rosenstruik versus Sakai. The fight night before that is the main event of a fight night. Jairzinho Rosenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. Main event of a fight night. Co-main event, Waltz fucking Harris versus Marcin Tybura. And it's not getting any better. I'm looking ahead on some of these cards, and I'm clicking forward. I'm spitting everywhere right now. I'm sick of this shit. The Edson Barboza versus Giga Chikadze card is actually good. But you know why? Because you overstack one card every 3 months and leave us with absolute dog shit for the rest of it. You overstack the pay-per-views so that the early prelims of a pay-per-view have ranked top 15 contenders like Brad Tavares versus Omari Akhmedov on the early prelims of UFC 264 when they could be the co-main event of a fight night card. You are overstacking one single card every 2 months and then leaving us with absolute garbage dog shit on every other card. Cannonier versus Gastelum. So fucking help you. This better be a good card because what do you know? It hasn't even been updated on the UFC schedule and it's only 4 weeks away. And your Google schedule of $1 billion company has not updated it to show us what other fights are on that card. 4 weeks away. Cage Warriors let their fighters know 4 or 5 weeks away if they're going to be on a card or not. We don't know, according to Google, from this $1 billion company, the UFC, who is on their card other than the main event a month from now. 4 weeks. And I'll tell you why they're not showing us who is on that fight card. Because it's a terrible, terrible fight card as well. Cannonier versus Gastelum has a co-main event of, and I'll find it right now, so help me I will, has a co-main event of Alejandro Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. Good. Kelleher Domingo Pilate. William Knight for Fabio Sharan. Coming off losses on the main card. Chase Sherman versus Parker Porter. Again, on the main card. And this card is done. This is all of the fights on the card. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 fights booked for that card. And the best fight outside the main and co-main event is Brian Kelleher versus Domingo fucking Pilate. Chase Sherman versus Parker Porter will now be on the main event of this fight night. It's getting worse and worse every single fucking weekend. And the records of the fighters, I think, are getting worse as well. I don't know if I can just sit here and accept this. Clay Guida versus Marco Madsen. Fair play, Guida's still around and he's a big name and that's going to be on the main card of this fight night as well. But man, what happened to ranked contenders in the main event? Title elimination bouts in the main event? That doesn't seem to happen anymore. Why not, man? Title elimination bouts used to be the main events of fight nights. The co-main events would be 2 top 10 contenders going at it. The opener of the main card of these fight nights would be another selection of top 15 guys going at it. 2 ranked contenders on the main card in any division. You are really risking, outside of the main event, finding any ranked contenders on any of these fight night cards. And it's just not good enough. Fix your fucking shit, you disgrace. You are worth $10 fucking billion. Stop giving us this shit. Zaruk Adeshev is free. Get rid of him. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Fuck off.